11th episode of MSP Coffee Chat Live. How's everyone doing today? We got James, Daniel, Jared on the line live with their camera. We got more people on the line in the Zoom stream. People tuned in on Facebook, on YouTube. Hello, everyone, and thanks again for joining us. Jared, I wanted to hand things over to you a little bit. You've done a pretty good job in hosting duties the past couple of weeks. So let's kick it off. Why don't you kick it off for us while I take a few sips of my coffee?
Yeah, no, it's been fun, hosting the coffee chats, and I usually plan throughout the week to put together a nice performance for our audience that we've built over honestly I can't even tell how many chats we've done in the past few months that we've been running this, but it's been fun, feeling like you're a TV star almost or something like that. But no, how are you doing, Jimmy, though? I know you've been traveling an insane amount over the past 3 or 4 weeks. You've been on airplanes back and forth.
I feel like I got the vaccine, and I've been literally changing my suitcase in and out since the full vaccination kicked in. Like every day, like I always either have it sitting out ready to be packed or sitting out ready to be unpacked. And there's like a 1 hour window between like unpacking the old stuff and putting the new stuff in. So I've been in. So let's see. I was in Dallas yesterday. Last weekend, I was in Philly. I was in Minnesota last week. I was in Tennessee the week before that. I was in Philly again the week before that, and then I was in Orlando the week before that. So it's been a wild ride. And then I go to Ohio next week. So excited for that.
So for those who don't know, there was an event in Dallas that actually happened. What was that? 2 days ago on Wednesday.
Yes.
And
Channel Pro Southwest event.
Yeah, and how was that Channel Pro event? It was the first Channel Pro event of the year.
So it was the first in-person Channel Pro event of the year. It was actually the first time I had presented at an in-person event, which was very cool to be doing again. And it was also the first time I presented at a hybrid event. So they were streaming my recording of me speaking to viewers online, which was very cool.
Yeah. Now, I was one of those online viewers, and I know you had the 5 o'clock spot. So I was up there waiting, and were they running behind schedule or something?
They were running a little behind schedule. Yeah, they were running.
I was waiting for the Jimmy from Scout introduction. But no, it's good to see you on the screen, and you did a great job as well.
Thanks, Jared.
And so,
yeah, it was great to see, partners in person. People are starting to trickle back in. It's still like half online, half in person. The last event was like that too. So, just people are doing what they feel comfortable with, and that's totally okay. That's how it's going to be. And, I'm just grateful that I've been very fortunate to have access to the vaccine, and a lot of people here in the States have. So we're able to do stuff like this. But, as always, being a New York City boy, going down to Texas is always an experience. So I had fun, got to meet with some great partners, both for like dinners and lunches, and also just at the event, hanging out. And then hopefully, met some new people that are going to become Scout partners, I'm sure. So I had a great time.
I'm sure also you're taking notes about, how to run the next Rebound 2022 in-person event, seeing what works and what doesn't.
Absolutely. We gotta set up our planning committee like next week, Jared. We gotta get on this. There's a lot to be done.
So, let's tie in James Mason, who we asked to join us. James is a sales engineer for Scout Cybersecurity. Also helps me tremendously on all of our webinars as well. James will actually be working with Rick pretty soon. Wellforce has a scheduled webinar with us. It's in the books for July. So, prep meetings coming up, you guys will get to interact a little bit more. But James, how about you, introduce the audience today about some of the recent threat advisories that we released this week.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, just piggybacking off of one thing that Jimmy said about being a New York City boy going to Texas. How do you think I feel being a Brit going to Texas? That blew me away. But yeah, no, travel is definitely something that you and I share a passion for sure. I'm at 25 states and counting, so I'm gonna get them all. It's like Pokemon for me, you know. Yeah. But yeah, let's talk advisories, because there's been a couple recently that are actually pretty interesting. And we wanted to kind of bring those to the fore a bit with regards to what they're about. So there's two major ones that I wanted to talk about real quick. There's a new spearphishing campaign that's gone live recently, and there's a WordPress exploit as well. Exploit is running on a plugin with WordPress. But we'll start with the spearphishing one, because it's actually interesting with regards to who that spearphishing campaign is coming from. So for anyone that knows a thing or two about the wonderful world of cybersecurity, I'm sure you've heard probably too much about the SolarWinds Orion attack, the supply chain attack that happened at Sunburst. For anyone who knows the attack behind it. So the group that did that is the Nobelium group, Nobelium attack group. And they've started this new phishing campaign that they're basically spoofing USAID.gov emails. And they're using a very specific emailing service called Constant Contact. And basically, the long story short is that they're using this service to drop an ISO via a JavaScript that's embedded into a document within the email onto systems. It actually executes a Cobalt Strike attack, which is Jimmy, you probably know about this. So it's Cobalt Strike is a it can be a non-malicious piece of malware. So it's used in penetration testing. But in the wrong hands, as we all know, everything can be used maliciously. So the idea is that they drop this ISO onto the system. The ISO mounts itself as a disk, and then it runs this Cobalt Strike attack. And yeah, again, in the hands of the wrong person, that's going to be pretty nasty. And they're going to be able to do an absolute ton of things to that system using that strike. And so far, I think we've seen about 150 organizations that were hit with this, and it's like 3,000 users they sent emails to. I think we've seen quite a lot of those being blocked though by automated systems, so email blocking systems and such like. But it's definitely a time for
compromise.
Is it me? Is it me, or is
I think we lost him.
No, you went mute for a second there.
I think we lost his audio.
He's just moving his lips and he quit talking.
But I think like this is like a good example. It's very common. So like a lot of the major hacking tools, people think that you need to like go on the dark web to buy them, or like get them from, I don't know, some guy in a trench coat somewhere off a USB. But realistically, they're legitimate penetration testing tools that you can just download. Like Kali Linux is a penetration testing operating system, and you can go in and try the tools, and they have very legitimate purposes. One day, hopefully, I'll be able to get in one of those Bitcoin wallets that I lost the password to, but I can't do that without brute forcing software.
They're definitely a brave group of attackers who are going after government, focusing on government. But James, how about you give us a little rundown now about the 0-day WordPress plugin?
Yeah, sure. So, and this time it wasn't my internet that went down, it was my headphones that decided to randomly disconnect halfway through. So, there's that. I'm just a technology jinx at the moment for some reason. Everything hates me. But yeah, so WordPress. So for anyone that uses WordPress for their websites, there's a plugin exploit right now specifically aimed at the Fancy Product plugin. Fancy Product, for anyone that doesn't know, it just basically is a system that allows you to upload images and PDFs, and you can just basically attach those to products that you host on your website. Now, the problem here being is they found this attack or this exploit. It's found a way to basically drop in some executable PHP directly into the website. And then once that's run, it gives the attackers the ability to basically remotely run code. So, you kind of go through the process. And if you look at kind of how someone would utilize that, you're going to be looking at a full site takeover by the end of it. They have the ability to run and change anything they want by the end of this. And we've seen this, it's been an absolute kind of ridiculous push towards e-commerce sites in this. And primarily because e-commerce sites, you're going to have a ton of customer data there. It's going to be personally identifiable information, names, addresses, such like, potentially even card details and things like that. But for any e-commerce sites and any companies that have this exploit that gets taken advantage of, it's going to violate PCI compliance. So that it really is a really nasty thing, not just for the people that, get their data stolen. So obviously, if I put my information in and my information gets stolen, it's probably going to be sold to the highest bidder on that wonderful place, the dark web. But equally for the companies that get hit with this, if they lose their compliance, their PCI compliancy, it's a rabbit hole. All of a sudden, the ability to run and operate as a business, taking in customer data, selling things, credit card information, things like that, it's really going down the drain. They've got to get recertified and go through all the rigmarole of making sure they've plugged up the holes and things like that. So with all that in mind, that one's a really easy one. That just needs a patch. So you can go to codecanyon.net and grab the Fancy Product. Great name. Grab the version 4.6.9 is the latest one. And there's actually a really easy way of seeing if you have a compromised version of it, because there'll be IOC, so it indicates a compromise. So it'd be like a PHP file in the WordPress admin, so it's WP-admin folder, or the WordPress content folder. So again, WP-content under the plugins and the specific plugins for Fancy Product. And you'll see like the dates and times and things of when these things are uploaded. So it's definitely something to take a look into and something to have a chat with your customers about, because again, the idea of losing PCI compliance, again, slippery slope, and can really screw with the customer.
Yeah, and we also have all of those recommendations that James mentioned on our threat advisories listed. Steps to install the patch update. But I wanted to, we might run a little bit longer today. I wanted to, show this little clip. So if some of you don't know, our CEO, Aidan Kehoe, actually performed a TED Talk a while back. And, before I got hired to Scout, I did my research and I ended up coming across this video and took a watch to it. And, I wanted to play a short clip of it just for some, Friday motivation, just to switch gears and not talk about the attacks for now. Let me share my screen. I actually need to share it with sound. Okay.
For me, I was in school. So you can see here I'm back at the class as usual. Got the little circle on my head. And I actually wrote an article when I was 12 years old about computers. And as part of going through this process today, I made some predictions about the future. And I was wrong about a bunch of them. And I was right about one or two of them. And today, I'm going to take you through some of those predictions, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the future that I think is coming as we all sit here today. So this is the article right here. You can see that was not my artistry on the bottom. I wish it was that good at drawing. But the first prediction I made was that if you should buy a Philips PC. That was the PC I recommended. It would cost you about £1,500 Irish punts at the time. And my bet was you could have that computer for a lifetime. So I was so far wrong about having a computer for a lifetime. Now people have them for a day or two. The next prediction I made, I was very good with the warning sign. I wanted to make sure everyone knew this is the warning part of the magazine that we were writing about. And I said that your maximum amount of time you should spend is roughly half an hour. The computer can be addictive. And that's another reason why there should be a time limit on all computers. Now I was right. I wish I knew how right I was back then. I would have bet a lot bigger on it being addictive. And then I was in protecting the computers. So here I have a whole section on protecting computers when I was 12 years old. And back then, I was more focused on the outside because my main recommendation is that you just put plastic on your computer and everything will be okay. And we've now migrated to the fact that I spend all my life trying to protect the inside of them. But my dream was to make a difference in the world. And I think everybody...
So that was just a short clip I wanted to show. I thought it was super interesting how, he made the prediction of, technology can be addicting, and also, talked about protecting computers, not the inside as he does nowadays. But his last little thought there was to make a difference in the world. So that's what we're going to end the chat off with today. Everybody go out there, make a difference, have a fun and safe weekend. Any closing thoughts from anyone else?
Everybody have a good weekend.
Yeah, thank you. You too. Thanks,
And you, Rick.
everyone.